Rozenta kept turning Vivian's words in her head. Maybe Vivian had been wrong about Yora not crying, but she wasn't the type to imagine things. With all her years of dealing with hypocrites in society, if she said the saintess smirked, then it was worth worrying about. The problem was there was no proof. Rozenta rubbed her temples. Great. No evidence, only suspicion. Exactly what I needed, another headache. And Theodore, the look on his face earlier wasn't just anger. He had looked almost frightened. That alone was enough to make her uneasy. She muttered, "If there's truth hiding behind those tears, I'll drag it out." Meanwhile, in her room, Yora threw herself onto the bed, crying so hard the maids probably wanted to quit. "He yelled at me. Theo actually yelled at me." "Don't worry, he's just confused. Once he calms down, he'll see you properly. Everyone always does. They all fall for you." Yora sniffled, wiping her already dry cheeks. "But it doesn't look like Theo likes me at all." Conatal shook his head firmly. "Impossible. The blessing you carry never goes wrong. It's only a matter of time." Back in her study, Rozenta was flipping through thick grimoires under candlelight looking for advanced necromancy. When her father was alive, he had forbidden her from ever removing the suppressor artifact. The power sealed inside her was too immense, and her young body wouldn't be able to bear the weight of it. But now, she thought maybe she was strong enough. She slipped the artifact off, only to be crushed by the sheer force of her own magic. The power pressed down on her chest, burning in her veins like it would split her apart. Father was right. This power really is dangerous. Then his words came back to her. "When the darkness awakens in you, I'll reveal the place where you can grow it safely." But he had died before ever telling her where that place was. Rozenta clenched her fists. Where could it be? Her father spent most of his time either locked away in his private chambers or up on the top floor. Perhaps the secret lay hidden there. She was about to search when the head butler appeared and bowed deeply. "Duke, I found a suitable candidate for your personal butler." Rozenta blinked, pulled back to reality. Now of all times. Rozenta offered a polite nod. "You've worked hard. When will the new butler begin?" "Tomorrow, my lord," the head butler replied with a respectful bow. "I'll see to his proper introduction." "Good." Rozenta dismissed him, waiting until his footsteps faded before quietly making her way up to the top floor. If her father had left behind any secret place, it had to be here. But when she arrived, the floor was bare. Cold stone, nothing that hinted at hidden rooms or secret training grounds. Rozenta's jaw tightened. So it's not here either, maybe here is secret passage. Rozenta ran her hands along the walls, tapping here and there, convinced there must be a hidden passage. But after searching for what felt like hours, she found nothing. At last, she gave up with a long sigh and leaned against the balcony railing, gazing down at the courtyard below. A sudden caw split the silence. Her chest tightened instinctively. Before she realized it, the name slipped past her lips. "Enoch." The crow above fluttered, then melted into the form of a man. Enoch stood before her, clearly pleased by the recognition. Rozenta's eyes narrowed at his attire, crisp coat, polished boots, white gloves, and a gleaming monocle. Too elegant, too bold. "You don't like my outfit?" he asked lightly. "Do you think I'd say yes?" she shot back flatly. His smile only widened. With a graceful flourish, he bowed. "Then allow me to introduce myself properly. I am Enoch Wolf, your personal butler from a nameless town in the countryside." A shiver ran through Rozenta's spine. "Go back." "I don't want to," he replied simply. Her frown deepened. "Why?" "Because I want to stay by your side." His tone was cheerful, but his eyes were steady, unwavering. "Why do you want that?" she pressed. Enoch's grin softened. "Because you gave me a name. Thanks to you, I was able to survive even the horrors of the magic tower." Rozenta's head throbbed. So he's saying a mere name kept him alive through that nightmare. Enoch stepped closer, closing the distance until Rozenta felt his breath. He reached out, caught a lock of her hair, and brushed it against his lips. A faint red tint colored his cheeks. It was you who held me up when I was living in hiding, Duke. Rozenta didn't reply. Instead, a single thought echoed through her mind. It was a mistake to come searching for him. I should never have involved myself with him. She turned away, lips parting to say something, but Enoch's voice cut in first. Are you looking for something here? His eyes glinted. I can feel the traces of magic. Her eyes widened. Hugo's words came back to her. There are people sensitive enough to sense mana itself, people who see right through all concealment. Enoch tilted his head, almost amused. Looks like you're searching for a hidden room, but I won't tell you where it is, not yet. Her gaze sharpened. Why not? Because if I did, you'd throw me out by tomorrow morning. His lips curved, and he held out his hand to her. Rozenta froze. If I take his hand, I may never be able to get rid of him again, but I need to know about that room. What do you want in exchange? She asked cautiously. Enoch's smile widened. Simple. Announce publicly that I am your personal butler. Then I'll show you where the traces lead. The next day, Rozenta formally introduced Enoch as her personal butler within the castle. He bowed politely to the staff, exchanging greetings with the other maids and butlers as though he had always belonged there. By evening, the two of them returned to the top floor. After casting a silence barrier, Enoch raised his hand and blasted through one of the walls, leaving a gaping hole in the stone. Rozenta gasped, horrified. Are you insane? There was no other way, he replied calmly, brushing dust from his gloves. Neither of us knows the proper spell to open it. Suppressing her frustration, Rozenta stepped forward into the hidden tunnel. Enoch moved to follow, but she stopped him with a raised hand. Stay here, I'll go alone. His brows furrowed, but he didn't argue. Rozenta followed the narrow passage until it ended at a heavy metal door. With effort, she pushed it open and froze. Inside stretched a vast alchemy laboratory. Dust lay thick over long tables, glass instruments, and shelves upon shelves of books. Drawn to one shelf, she reached for a thick volume bound tightly in chains. She tugged, but the lock refused to give. After a moment of struggle, she set it aside with a frown. Turning to another shelf, her eyes caught on a book titled Undead Studies. Relief flickered through her. Exactly what I was searching for. The word undead chilled her as she traced the ink on the cover. A corpse animated to walk again. It was necromancy. Dangerous, forbidden. Yet its use could be manageable, so long as it didn't attract unwanted attention. Her thoughts broke off at the sound of a knock against the metal door. Duke. She spun toward the door, anger flickering across her face. I told him to stay outside. When the door opened, a mischievous smile tugging at his lips. Better me than anyone else finding you in here, he said smoothly. He held up a sealed envelope. Besides, the head butler insisted these letters reach you at once. Rozenta sighed, snatching the letters from his hand. You're insufferable. They were urgent, Enoch replied innocently. With no choice, Rozenta left the hidden room. As she stepped out of the tunnel, her eyes fell on the wreckage, the gaping hole, shattered stone, and displaced dust. Her expression hardened. If anyone else finds this. Before she could act, Enoch's voice cut in again. Duke, since we destroyed the old magic, why not supplement it with something new? Before her eyes, he raised a hand. Stone shifted, sealing itself back into place, restoring the wall as though nothing had ever touched it. Rozenta frowned. What spell did you use? Enoch grinned, placing a hand over his chest. It's simple. Just call my name Enoch, and the wall will open for you. Think of me every time you do. Back in her chambers, Rozenta laid the letters on her desk. 3 different seals, Vivian, Theodore, and Duchess Nicardia. She broke the first one carefully. Rozenta opened Vivian's letter first. Why must we attend the Saintess's banquet? I don't want to welcome her. Next came Theodore's letter. His script was neat, deliberate. I would like to meet with you before the banquet begins. There are matters I wish to discuss, face to face. Finally, she opened the letter from Duchess Nicardia. On the other side of the estate, Duchess Nick set her own pen aside and turned toward one of her husbands. You truly sent him a letter? She asked, amusement in her tone. When he nodded, she smiled faintly, eyes gleaming. Then all the better. I can hardly wait to see how Rozenta has grown. Time slipped by, and the banquet loomed ever closer. Rozenta spent most of her hours on the top floor, buried in studies of advanced necromancy. Today, however, was different. It was the day Duchess Nick had arranged to visit. Her letter had said she wished to meet him in advance. Rozenta couldn't understand the reason for such urgency, and the thought lingered in her mind until Enoch's voice broke through. "What's troubling you?" he asked softly. She didn't answer. Why was she letting him read her so easily? Before words could form, Enoch tilted her chin, his gloved fingers brushing the corner of her eyes. "Your eyes, they look as if they're carrying pain." The touch stirred something inside her. She thought of his cruel fate, her chest tightened. "You're part of my family," Rozenta whispered. "If anyone dares trouble you, tell me." While studying magic, Rozenta came across writings on mind curses, hallucinations, brainwashing, control over thoughts. She was still absorbed in the details when Enoch entered. "Duchess Cardia has arrived," he informed her. He went to receive the guest while Rozenta glanced down from the window. The Duchess looked to be in her 40s, accompanied by her 4 husbands. In Silva, women held the stronger position, so having multiple husbands was nothing unusual. Later, in the parlor, after tea had been served, Rozenta finally broke the silence. "Why did you request to meet me before the banquet?" The Duchess only chuckled. "I simply wanted to see you, and what kind of duke you've grown into." Rozenta arched a brow. "Then, how do you think I grew up?" Duchess Nick's lips curved with a soft smile. "You are the spitting image of Jane." Rozenta froze. Jane, her mother. The Duchess's smile faltered, bitterness flashing in her eyes. "That cursed Duke of Estella, he stole Jane away from me." Rozenta's thoughts tumbled. How does she know my mother? Sensing Rozenta's curiosity, Duchess Nick leaned back with a knowing smile. "Jane was once my maid," she said, "but she fell for your father. Since both our estates did business together, they often crossed paths. That's how they met." She asked, "Then what business did our families share?" At that, the Duchess's smile twitched with anger. "Did your father never tell you? No wonder you never visited." With a sigh, she continued, "Silva is rich in plants, herbs, rare crops, anything that grows. Your father came here every few years to secure resources." "I see," Rozenta replied calmly. "Then, could you share what exactly my father purchased from you?" "Of course," the Duchess said with a nod. When it was finally time to leave, her gaze slid to Enoch. "Your butler is exceptional." Rozenta answered simply, "Thank you." "Exceptional enough," the Duchess went on, "that I could almost want him for myself." Rozenta nearly slipped out a dry, "Take him," before holding her tongue. But then, Nick's eyes sharpened. "Seeing the way he looks at another, with such scorching flames, I'd best be cautious. I've no interest in flowers that already belong to someone else." Rozenta stiffened. "What do you mean?" The Duchess only pressed a finger to her lips and smirked. "It's fine. Polyandry is quite common in Silva, after all." After days of study, Rozenta finally completed her research on undead magic. Testing it, she spoke aloud. "Skeleton." Bones stirred and rose at her command. But the weight of the spell crushed her body, and she doubled over, coughing blood. It was still too much for her to handle. By the time she regained her breath, morning light was already seeping in. Today was the banquet. When she opened the lab door, Enoch was waiting. "I'll escort you down," he said with his usual calm smile. He combed her hair with gentle precision and tied it into a ponytail, his obsessive nature clear in the way his fingers lingered. "Everyone at the banquet will be staring at you," he murmured, "and one of them will receive your gift." Then, as if it were natural, he lifted her hair and kissed it. "This is enough for me." Rozenta chose not to answer. Before the banquet began, she needed to meet Theodore. He had asked her to come to their hideout. When she arrived, his condition was terrible, pale, restless, like a man barely holding himself together. The moment his eyes met hers, he finally spoke. Rozenta, any more of this, and I'm going to reach my limit. I've tried everything to endure it, to resolve it somehow, but I've failed. Rozenta grasped his trembling hand and pulled him into an embrace. Only when his breathing steadied did they sit together on the bench. I have no control over my body, he admitted, and it only happens when I'm near the saintess. At first, I feared it meant I had feelings for her, but it's not that. Definitely not. Then what is it? Rozenta pressed. His eyes darkened. It feels like I'm becoming someone's puppet. Her thoughts immediately jumped to Vivian's claim that Yora was only putting on an act. And now Theodore himself confessed he was being controlled when near her. This wasn't coincidence. It was a threat. Rozenta steadied her voice. Don't worry, leave it to me.